Today we're going to focus on booktubers for immersing in Brazilian Portuguese, and at the end we'll look at how to fit this immersion into a method and routine that will help you on your way to learning the language. This video is part of a series of videos looking at resources you can use to immerse in Brazilian Portuguese. These are divided into various topics so that you can find resources for areas that interest you. The links will be in the description below. Booktuber channels are great for learning a language. Aside from immersing in Brazilian Portuguese, you'll also be able to pick up suggestions for books to read by Brazilian authors, or indeed anyone who's written in the Portuguese language. We'll look at a handful of channels in this video, and more will be listed in the description. Some of these channels have lots of videos and subscribers, whilst others are fairly new. The more you watch and subscribe, the more the YouTube algorithm seems to suggest other similar videos and channels, so this should hopefully be a starting point from which to find other channels that interest you. Though all of these channels focus on books, there are some differences in format, content, structure and delivery style. They're all ideal for anyone who loves books, but they're also great if you're wanting to focus on a certain book or area. For example, I've watched a few of these channels specifically for their collective reading videos. The person running the channel will pick a book to read that week or month and invites the audience to read it at the same pace. I found this a useful source of motivation to read a Brazilian novel from start to finish, and the live chat videos provided when discussing certain chapters are helpful for adding context to what you've been reading. We'll cover the different types of video here, and hopefully you'll find some that appeal to you. The first channel we're going to look at is Ler Antes de Morrer. It's created by Isabella Lumbrano, and she provides a wide range of videos, from discussions of individual books to ideas for books to read in certain genres. Though there are lots of great videos on the channel, what I found most useful were the collective reading videos. It motivated me to read Capitais da Areia by Jorge Amado. As you can see here, Isabella has an introduction video explaining what the book is about and setting out a reading schedule for the following 2 weeks. Whether you decide to go at your own pace or stick to the schedule, the regular videos and live chats are a great way to stay motivated and add context to what you've been reading. Of course, it doesn't matter if you come across them long after the event either. You can just apply the same spacing between the videos if you want to replicate the schedule. As for Capitais da Areia, it's a book I definitely recommend reading. It's set in Salvador, the capital of the northeastern state of Bahia. Written and set in the 1930s, the novel tells the story of the city's street children and how they had to survive in a system set against their very existence. Its author, Jorge Amado, was a member of the Partido Comunista Brasileiro, Brazilian Communist Party. He'd grown up in the south of Bahia, witnessing the exploitation of its people on large cocoa plantations. He went to high school in Salvador, where he saw the inequality between the rich and poor. Amado wrote Capitais da Areia in 1937. In November of the same year, 808 copies were burnt in a square in Salvador, along with other work, under the accusation of being communist propaganda. As a member of the Partido Comunista Brasileiro, Amado had to spend several periods in exile, first in Argentina and Uruguay, and later in France, and eventually what was then Czechoslovakia. He also spent time in the Soviet Union, and was investigated by the CIA. He was able to return to Brazil in 1954, abandoning political life. His books have been translated into 49 languages. The next booktuber we're going to discuss is Rodrigo Vilela. Rodrigo's channel is another great source for reading suggestions, but he also discusses the history of certain books and even of pieces of art. For example, you can see here a video where he discusses the history behind Hokusai's famous woodblock print, The Great Wave of Kanagawa. Another great channel is Litera Tami. Like the other channels, Tami provides a wide range of videos, from book reviews to interviews. What sets her channel apart is a particular emphasis on books with a social commentary. To slightly paraphrase the About section of her channel, Tami has a fierce belief in the power of literature as an instrument of social revolution, and this is reflected in her videos. There'll be plenty more channels listed in the description, but the final booktuber we're going to discuss in the video itself is Bel Rodrigues. She has a very popular channel, and this is partly because of the great variety of her videos. There's plenty on books, but there's also videos on films and TV series. If you're just wanting to focus on one channel for now, perhaps this will be a useful option, as you'd have videos about books and films in one place. However, it is useful to immerse in a language with a wide range of sources, simply because no one speaks exactly the same. Immersing in a wide range of sources can therefore help you to understand a broader range of accents and speaking styles. If you're also interested in films, there will be a video looking at Brazilian channels that discuss films. This will be in the description below. Links to more booktubers can be found in the description below as well. I hope you found this video useful. We'll now look at how to use immersion within a wider plan for learning the language. In terms of fitting the resources we've covered today into a plan for learning Brazilian Portuguese, there are 3 essential things you need to learn any language. These 3 things could be called different names based on personal preference, but they boil down to the same things. Now, these are the passive part of the process, the active part, and practice. The passive part of the process is perhaps most important in the sense that it's most likely to have been the missing ingredient, as when we learn languages at school, it's impossible to spend much time listening to the language in its normal form, at normal speed, and how it's used in daily life. And this is why, even though we perhaps learn how to conjugate some verbs and say a few sentences, when we actually hear the language properly in normal settings, we struggle to understand it. The active part is probably going to be the most familiar, in the sense that it does involve active study, but it doesn't have to be in the more traditional ways you may be used to from school. By all means, study grammar in isolation and verb tables if you enjoy that, as enjoyment is the most important thing, but you don't have to. The active part of the process for many people can just be a case of looking for new phrases and learning them, remembering them. Practice is just about having conversations, whether they're typed or spoken, with native speakers of that language, or people who speak that language to the level of a first language. Ideally, anyway. Now, if at the start you're a bit tentative and want to develop your Brazilian Portuguese a bit more before having conversations, that's absolutely fine. You can just pose questions to yourself and think of how you'd respond and practice answering them. It may sound a bit odd at first, but it's absolutely fine, and it is an effective way to improve. The most effective way for improving your fluency is to practice with other people, as it's the most immediate form and it will make your responses feel more automatic in future. But for many people, it can seem a bit daunting to start that straight away. Some people do advocate starting that straight away, but you don't have to. It's just personal preference. Over the coming weeks and months, there'll be more videos like this posted on this channel to help you learn Brazilian Portuguese and European Portuguese, as well as various other languages. If you'd like to look at some other free resources on the website, there's a resources section, and that gets added to weekly. There's general advice on language learning, and there's a tab specifically for Portuguese resources, focusing particularly on films you can watch to help improve your Portuguese, and each of these has links to relevant videos and articles that will add context to the film you've watched, and adding this context helps you to remember the phrases you've come across, and it just makes the whole process more enjoyable. If you'd like more detail on how to learn Portuguese, whether that's Brazilian Portuguese or European Portuguese, there's a How to Learn Languages guide, How to Learn Portuguese. Most of the resources in the book are centred on Brazilian Portuguese, but there are resources in there for European Portuguese as well. The guide goes into lots more detail, and it's a way for you to have everything you need in one place, with links to useful resources and a plan laid out for you. There's also a detailed section on the history of the Portuguese language. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and see you next time.